I'd like to begin this video by saying there is a high chance people will think two different things of me based on whether they are like you watching the video or just saw the thumbnail and title scrolling by. I am not a negative person. I do not enjoy disliking games. I mostly enjoy talking about things I like, but there are specific games that I plan to discuss whether I love them or hate them. And for the last few years, the Call of Duty franchise found themselves in that camp of games. Regardless of how great or terrible, I just can't help but sit down and play through their campaigns just because each year is more fascinating than the last. So I sit down, eager to play this year's arrival. If it's good, then I get to play a good game. Great. If it's not good, then I'll have plenty to talk about in this video here. What I did not expect is a brand new entry for the worst COD campaign of all time, dethroning the previous title held by Modern Warfare 3 2023. I cannot stress the misery it was to play this game. And if I cannot find the words to truly express how poor my experience was with this title, then hopefully previous Bricky can. Mr. Pritchard, I hope you're doing nicely. I'm not. Advanced Guild VTOL. That didn't explain shit. We didn't see the ending choice. The person they didn't show that one on. At least Mass Effect lets you have like a so far thing. Oh, I can't pause. No, not from the top rope. No, not the top rope. They can't take it. They can't take it. Is this the same fucking map? Why is it not in the game? Why is it not in the game? Why didn't they put this in the game? Wait, do you remember what? No.
First step is to upload a virus.
No. Are you shitting me? Another VTOL boss? It smashed my stream. It lagged my whole stream. It's like I'm just exhausted. I'm genuinely just exhausted.
Working on it now.
Section, you got heavy gear reinforcements.
I'm tired. Now, we're going to be getting really deep into just the absolute problems that this game comes with. But first, a very important sip. One thing that has yet to disappoint me, however, is my partnership with the esteemed Gamer Subs. They are having an insane Black Friday deal, and I mean genuinely insane. If you buy any tub of Gamer Subs, whether it's my personal flavor sweet 6-pack or any of the other ones brought to you by other great creators like the Russian Badger, Guacamole Game of Fart 9000, the Smitty Good, or perhaps the Meat Canyon Papa Meat Raw Meat, one of the best flavors on the store, I hate to admit it. Buying any of those will get you a free cup to go along with it. Any of them, free cup, does not matter. If you purchase one of the tubs, you get a free cup to go with it. That can be Gamer Subs Energy. That can be caffeine free. It could be my personal flavor, the sweet 6-pack, the cherry pineapple, one of the most popular flavors going on years now. It's on the front page on the caffeine free on the website. Look, there it is. And also, unlike many of their less esteemed competitors, they know how to really make this formula pop. Not only does it taste good, but this is the scooper. This little guy. The amount of flavor they pack in this much powder is absurd. Every single one of those tubs is 100 servings of it. It is 40 cents a serving, and you're getting a free cup with it. I have been with Gamer Subs for over 6 years, and they constantly are the best company I have worked with. They care a ton about the creators, they offer a variety of products, and they are always down for us to have a little bit of fun with our ads. So please, I urge you, check it out. Look into the description. It is code Bricky for 10% off, giving you and me a decent amount of discount and commission for anything you purchase. And fear not, even if you use my code on other people's stuff, they will still get a cut too, and vice versa. Gamersubs.com/Bricky, code in the description and link. Check it out. Microsoft. Serious business time. Microsoft. They purchased Activision Blizzard fully after a multi-year back and forth with the courts on October 13th, 2023 for just under $69 billion. This gave Microsoft control over many beloved properties such as World of Warcraft, StarCraft, Diablo, Overwatch, and, of course, Call of Duty. Now, considering the time frame for this, the Microsoft acquisition most likely made little to no change on that year's Call of Duty, being Modern Warfare 3. It also most likely had very little impact on the year following, being Black Ops 6, just due to the dev cycles of these games. However, in the year of our Lord 2025, there has been plenty of time to accurately determine that the Microsoft acquisition has made its way into the bones of the games. Now, you may know Microsoft as Windows, Xbox company, Bill Gates jumping over the chair, you know, all of that. The internal activities of those at Microsoft, though, are much weirder, bordering on cultish. The internal company culture is rooted around something called the growth mindset, and it drives company decision-making and job performance. This was perhaps not started by, but heavily influenced by its CEO, Satya Nadella, and has used this concept to worm its way through every aspect of the company's culture. Nadella almost acts like a messianic tech bro, someone so obsessed with themselves in a way that in his book, Hit Refresh, he sees himself remaking the dark age of Steve Ballmer's Microsoft and enlightening the company instead. Now, this growth mindset is something actually very clearly listed in their careers section on the website, so it is actually far from hyperbole. I quote,
"At Microsoft, we believe that growth isn't just possible, it's expected. Our culture is rooted in a growth mindset, which means we see potential as something to be nurtured, not predetermined. We know that anyone can evolve their thinking, expand their skills, and grow their career because we've built the systems and support to make that happen. We encourage curiosity and continuous learning. We celebrate the courage it takes to lean into uncertainty. Our teams thrive on experimentation and agility, knowing that innovation often begins with uncertainty. Taking smart risks and learning from mistakes is how we move forward. Mastery is a journey, and failure is often a step along the way. But growth doesn't happen in isolation. At Microsoft, you'll be surrounded by people who want to see you succeed. Through mentorship, collaboration, and shared accountability, we create space for everyone to do their best work. The success of one doesn't diminish the success of others. It inspires and elevates those around them."
Now, the core of growth mindset comes from psychologist Carol Dweck, and she has conducted studies to prove her points regarding the effectiveness and impact of a growth mindset, particularly when it comes to child development and the development of a growth mindset in a classroom setting. However, the tests that she has conducted have been extremely difficult to recreate in a number of settings, bordering on being somewhat impossible. After a failed attempt to recreate one of her studies from 1998, one of the creators of the granularity-related inconsistency of means, or GRIM test, stated, "If your effect is so fragile that it can only be reproduced under strictly controlled conditions, then why do you think it can be reproduced by school teachers?" But businesses like Microsoft heavily rely on the theories surrounding it because it fosters an environment of perpetual collaboration with the goal of achieving an environment that is high performing because it blurs the lines between passion and work. Passion is used quite a bit when describing a growth mindset, and it's used in a bit of a weaponized manner. In this setting, passion for something will lead to harder work, as opposed to passion being something coming from hard work. This tends to have a negative impact on the culture of quite a bit of companies that use this as a foundation for their corporate culture. It results in those who are more embedded in it becoming something of a know-it-all, learn-it-all. If you're not supporting the culture by showing passion in your work, you are being detrimental to the company as a whole, and you're not looking out for everyone. You're only looking out for yourself. It's a much easier task to weed out those who aren't compliant to this as someone who doesn't fit the culture, and it gives a lot of wiggle room for removing others and focusing on the bottom line. In the end, a heavily enforced growth culture environment removes quite a bit of individuality from the equation. You are a willing and ready part of a machine that is more concerned that you are doing things for its benefit instead of your own, and if you don't, it's a you problem. Generative AI works in tandem with this because it gives a more grounded example of how it works. Machine learning takes the information that is put into it and regurgitates it. This we know. People work to polish this regurgitation so that it is more cohesive and coherent and especially more accurate. The individual effort in doing this is not something that is honored as your own individual contribution. When you ask ChatGPT what 2 + 2 equals, it doesn't say Derek in the AI department told me the answer is 4. It either says 4 or 6 or 11 or 15. If a programmer does something wrong, then it's an issue with the programmer. If it's done right, then it's them contributing to the growth of everyone. Please enjoy your company-issued stapler. Staples cost extra. Also, completely unrelated, but the definition of a cult fits into the following mold. A system controlled by an authoritative and charismatic leadership, be it a group or an individual, that is a dense hierarchy that relies on a system that removes social systems from the member, except in the case of the direct support for the system itself. The system in place for a cult is an exclusive ideology that persuades individuals into being exploitable and obedient to the cult at large, regardless of their own basic needs. So, why the hell is this in the script? At all of that crap right there? Because Black Ops 7 is a new kind of bat. It's a new kind of slop. In the Steam page, it's listed as having generative AI to help with some in-game assets, and that some is doing so much heavy lifting it would win Mr. Olympia. I cannot express this enough. This is an AI-generated video game top to fucking bottom, and its abject failure is something that should be praised. Dude, is this AI? Is this an AI generated anchor? And
we are joined by Ms. Emma Kagan.
They're moving so weird.
Right, slept trillions in damage and.
Our forensic analysis.
I think this is
stream that match those used by Cortis DA. It does appear to be authentic.
It looks AI. Oh my god! Oh my god! Some of the tombstones don't have text on them. Dude, right? The fire is like clearly AI fire. So, what even is the story of Black Ops 7? Now, if you've seen my other COD reviews, you know I like to go through the campaign a decent bit and dissect each part, but this, I mean, it feels like a coroner trying to do an autopsy on red paste. It opens with the AI animations already on full display. Shadowheart from Wish is a big tech company CEO and is giving a talk with a news anchor because guess what? Menendez is alive. It's Cortis Dia time again, and terrorism is back on the menu, baby. But evil CEO lady is kinda evil and clearly using this whole thing for her own game. So intriguing and stuff. So you're playing as David Mason, Alex Mason's son. Alex Mason is this guy, by the way. Now, David Mason is supposed to be retired here, but don't worry about that. He's back now. Don't worry about that. The game is comprised of a co-op squad of 4 people, including David, Harper, Samuels, and 50/50. Samuels and Harper are both from Black Ops 2, with Harper still being voiced by Michael Rooker of The Walking Dead fame. 50/50 is the new squad mate, named that due to her very Black Ops 3 style augmetics. In terms of character, they all suck. The only exception is Harper because Michael Rooker can, on occasion, be funny. But David is boring, Samuel doesn't do anything, and 50/50 contribution is to make the most insufferable person you know complain on Twitter. They're all genuinely terrible, dull as a board, and somehow less useful. Combat-wise, we are going back to the future again, and so you can expect drones, robots, all that stuff. Honestly, if anything, this feels kind of like the environment and combat reminiscent of Black Ops 3, just without the movement. And now this might think, oh, does that mean we might not get just dudes with armor this time? So, you start the game and you go in to steal something like a Toblerone with secrets on it. I don't really remember and I don't really care. And you're hit by a huge amount of red gas, which is the cradle from the prior game, that starts to completely screw with your brain. And they have a throwaway line about how it messes with your internal augments as well, which is why when you're all linked, you're all stuck in the same nightmare dream because your brains are all linked and the gas is weird. So when you're doing one person's thing, it has you all there because it's a co-op campaign and it has to be co-op and you have to all be there. So yeah, you are David Mason as stated, and your father, Alex Mason, was killed due to the influence of Menendez. And so you, David, are clearly emotionally affected by this, and therefore you start tripping balls and imagining Menendez is in, I guess, one of the many weird locations you fabricate in David's mind, complete with gigantic flying machetes coming down on your head.
Just fix the goddamn thing.
Now, before we discuss Danny Trejo's favorite scene, I need to express how abysmal the campaign experience has been in just getting to play it. See, Black Ops 7's campaign is co-op, and it's expected that you play it that way. Because the campaign is co-op, that also means that the feature is required. And it means the campaign is not just online only, but online only with a queue. So because of that, in order to play the campaign of this game solo, you have to turn off squad fill, or you will be matched with random people you don't know. In Activision's Infinite Wisdom, they also removed the difficulty setting. So there's no more hardened or veteran. There is only one difficulty, and it scales with how many people you have in your party with you.
All right, grab it. Let's go.
And because it's an online only game, you can be, and I cannot stress this enough, kicked for inactivity in the campaign, because pausing the game doesn't actually pause the game because it's a live session. Okay, I can't pause this. I would like to pause this, but I can't seem to pause this right now. I hold on, chat. I gotta go outside for a moment. I'm just gonna. I'll be right back. You have to be online, and you have to turn off squad fill with no difficulty in this campaign that you, and again, can be booted out due to inactivity because the pause button in the campaign does not work. Once you put into context that everything in this campaign is a complete live session, it makes it so much worse. Guns will level up during the campaign. You will unlock camos during it. You level up normally during it. It's just a match of Warzone, but in a campaign. And what's absolutely hysterical too is that in this game, completely full of AI generated dog shit, if you choose to play solo, it doesn't even give you AI squad mates. If there was ever an ethical time to use AI, this would be the one. You know, AI squad mates, thing they've been doing for 2 decades, but they don't even give you that. I need more gamer subs. God damn, I need more gamer subs. God, I love gamer subs. Oh my God. So as you can expect, the entire campaign has so far been a miserable experience. The cutscenes are full of AI-caused inconsistencies. The voice acting is clearly generated at times, and even the COD gameplay that usually is the hallmark is just bland at best, which I say because this is probably the time where I'm going to lose some of you. The next sequence is a boss fight with Menendez in this weird acid trip land, and I mean, I think taking real acid would honestly be a lot more fun than playing this, but it allows you to use a kill streak to send gigantic machetes from the sky to damage Menendez. Now there's going to be an interesting break between my fans and new people who see this video, because my fans will know that I think this is hysterical and kind of cool, while new people probably will hate it. Now you see, I like when my CODs get weird. I've always liked when it gets weird. One of my main things in Black Ops 6 was that I wanted them to get weirder with it. The best mission of that entire game was Emergence, which was the weirdest one they had. Unfortunately, the monkey's paw curled, and they took my advice in the worst possible way. Weird, you know, quote unquote weird in COD campaigns can mean a lot of things, and the Black Ops ones are no strangers to weird. Now, Black Ops 1 was MK Ultra, and that gave you some weird visions, and the plot was a little bit weird, but that was about as weird as it got. Black Ops 2 was mostly played straight. Black Ops 3 was massively weird. The story of the synapses of a dying man was novel. It just wasn't executed well. I still really love the frozen forest section at the end. I think that's really cool, but it definitely was better on the writing table than an execution. Black Ops 4, Cold War is criminally underrated. Probably my favorite campaign in the 2019 Modern Warfare and onwards group of CODs. It was amazing, not just because it was, you know, good and had good characters and it wasn't trapped in a quasi Warzone piece of shit, but because it used its weird at the right times. It was novel, it was specific, but it was pointed. The story of Bell was one that was told with tact and intrigue and with a scalpel. Now Black Ops 6 got weird, but it wasn't a scalpel like Cold War. It was more like a sledgehammer. It just kind of swung it around wildly, and sometimes it hit something, sometimes it didn't, which is why that game, while having moments, was a bit inconsistent. Black Ops 7 is nothing but weird because the game was written by ChatGPT. It doesn't have the full-blown craziness that Black Ops 3 had, where that's the point, and it doesn't utilize the scalpel that Cold War did. It doesn't, and it can't, because the plot wasn't written by humans. The irony here is that this gigantic Machete Menendez shit would actually be sick as fuck if it was used the right way. I mean, if you're going to trip balls, you might as well use the COD mechanics in a fun way, right? The Predator missile becoming a gigantic machete in a vacuum is kind of a fun concept, but unfortunately when it's packaged in this kind of game, it becomes really, really boring. And like, come on, they make gigantic Predator missile machetes from the sky with obscenely forward guitar music. Boring. There's a reason why Black Ops 3 zombies get so weird. It gets so bizarre and strange with Revelations and Zetsubo Noshima, and they have giant flying German dragons in Stalingrad. But that weird works because it's used the right way. It's used as like an over-the-top thing, and the tone is set right. And the story of Garog Krovy, whatever, I don't speak Russian, the story of that Easter egg is more exciting and more emotionally charged than this whole game. Anyway, you banish Menendez from your brain and you head back into the real world, and guess what it is? It's a Warzone map. It's a gigantic open world mission, all taking place in the Warzone map. The whole mission takes place while working with Karma from Black Ops 2, and Karma. Karma's alive. So in Black Ops 2, I keep forgetting it's from 2012, you had a few choices, as the choices that changed the game's ending were pretty big back in 2012, even though they don't always land. Now, both Harper and Karma are in the original game. If you let Harper live, that means Menendez gets away. But if you kill Harper, you get to kill Menendez. So obviously Menendez is alive because Harper is alive. That's their canon version for this game. But in the ending where Menendez lives, Karma dies. So she's alive because, I guess, which is really interesting because I actually asked someone to look into this for me. And here's the deal, bear with me. This is correct. However, there's a loophole to do with Chloe and DeFalco prior to the endings, where Black Ops 6 and 7 follow a scenario where Karma, is captured by DeFalco and then is not saved until later, because you can technically just not do the mission where you try to go save her in a way, and then they can write something else to put her back in the game that she gets away later. It's very weird, and there's some like Herculean gymnastics being done for it, but it technically works, even if I really don't care, because we're on a Warzone map and I'm bored to tears. Now, after this, you do another nightmare tripping mission, this time in Woods' nightmare, which is really weird, because the idea they sort of provided was that we were going through the nightmares of our team because they whiffed the cradle gas and they have the augments in their brain. But we're in Woods' memories, which is really odd. I know that Woods told David about his experiences, but we're going with that nightmare thing, and it just sounds to me like ChatGPT needed Woods to be in the Black Ops game, so they wrote him into the game, even though it doesn't really make any sense why we're here. And it's also odd because then he turns into the first major boss of Metroid Prime, but even so. So that's basically the concept of the game. However, that's the formula you're looking at. For the most part, you go do some shitty, horrible Warzone open world stuff, and then you trip balls really hard for some weird stuff, and then you go back to Warzone, and you repeat this until the game just sort of ends. Now, it also contains really bizarre sections, like after the wood stuff, you go fight a sniper who's voiced by the Symmetra Overwatch Rampart Apex VA, who you've never met before, who acts like a really big deal, and then dies right there. Then you immediately go play a mission on Black Ops 2 Hijacked as B Team with the funniest character portrait I've ever seen. Wait, what is that face? Why does it look like the meme face from JD Vance? It's so funny. And then you go right back to the main team again with no justification and no understanding of what's going on. And it's just like, it's not even really fun to talk about. You can visibly see my expression get progressively worse every single time I loaded into a new mission during this game. This is real, visible pain that worsened with each hour of this campaign that I haven't felt in any COD campaign before.
You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half. And now.
The most fun I had in this campaign was being flabbergasted by all the inconsistencies and so much more. The insanely stupid plot points caused by the Chat GPT script. Menendez, right? The main guy in all the marketing, the villain from Black Ops 2, maybe one of the best COD villains ever, or at least up there. He doesn't exist. Wait, yeah. Wait, hold on. It doesn't pause the game. It doesn't pause the game. Didn't we shoot him in the fucking head? Like, was it like right here? Maybe he's AI. Wait, hold on. You might be cooking. You might be cooking. It could be the guild remaking AI Raul Menendez actually as their own way to cause chaos and therefore push their corporate agenda. It's a deep fake fucking Menendez done by the company to get people to like cause instability so that the AI company can like make money or something like that. Hysterically, they honor the ending where, you know, you shoot him in the head. So this Menendez, as stated, is a deepfake AI generated Menendez being used by Temu Shadowheart so that she can have her tech bro robots make them a lot more money, which is funnier because if Menendez is dead, that means Harper should be dead due to the actions of Black Ops 2. So it even doubly under or overwrites the karma thing. The plot arrives out of nowhere. I was racking my brain over something because there's a mention of a mole in the group, and this comes from nothing.
And possibly the identity of our mole.
So we're hacking the drones that attacked us because the drone has information about our mole?
Patrol path over Avalon. With a little help from your team.
Then we take it out of the sky somehow.
One of the guild's own surface-to-air launchers should do the trick. But remember, it'll have to come down intact, not in a million pieces.
No pressure.
None at all.
Wait, do you remember what? No.
First step is to upload a virus
No.
to a nearby guild op in the Coliseum.
Wait,
That'll let me access the drone's high-level functions.
We're on it.
you mean the mole that was, wait, did they set up a mole? I tell you, this clip you just saw, that is the entirety of the mole when they first mention it ever. And it turns out that the mole is the goofy portrait guy from the hijack mission, which you had to play so that you would know that there is in fact a mole, because Black Ops 2 also had a betrayal, and so this one has to have one too, says the AI script. The story is utter nonsense, complete and utter nonsense at every single level. While the technical story doesn't have like massive plot holes or anything in it, things are brought up and removed instantaneously because that's what AI script do. Even attempting to describe this to you is agony because they're just brought up and then resolved, brought up and then resolved. Next thing you know, you're tripping balls. You're fighting a gigantic Michael Rooker on an aircraft carrier, which is even funnier because this goddamn giant fight, while yes, it is actually has mechanics like jumping over damage waves, homing missiles, all stuff like that. It's an actual real mechanical fight, despite the fact that yes, it is ass. God damn, I need more gamer subs. Now, often the saving grace for these COD games is that the gameplay is decent, right? Guns are fun to shoot, and as long as that's true, people can forgive a lot of crap. Destiny has gone away with that for over a decade. While it's true that the guns do feel good to shoot, everything around this is actually substantially worse. Now, my biggest issue with prior COD games is that enemies have been feeling really bullet spongy. It's all about tearing through tons of armor and artificial health bars. This game decides to have a bit more enemy variety, at least on the surface. They have names now, they have movement styles, they have combat tricks. On the surface, they genuinely do have some different tricks, until you realize for the most part, they are just bullet sponges again at the end of the day. They hit you with different stuff, but it is still the same excuse for challenge where it's all about unloading more and more ammunition. In fact, this problem seems to be truly affecting the campaign combat so much that the magazine sizes in the game have been artificially inflated to an insane degree. Ready for this shit? Where are they going? Don't worry about it. It's a Destiny gun, okay?
That door.
The enemies become so unfathomably tanky, it is actually painful to deal with. Near the last third of the campaign, I flat out refused to fight them. I just ran ahead from everything I saw because I could put armor plates on the entire time and not care. And it's a really bad sign that I want to run away from your gameplay to get the campaign over with. But soon after completing the campaign, there was a discovery. Someone had messaged me saying that of the there's 11. Of the 11 studios that made this game, one of them was High Moon Studios, which used to be known as Shammy Studios and were founded in 2001. They were developers for some genuinely amazing games, particularly the Transformers games in the early 2010s. However, one game they helped develop was the esteemed Destiny in 2014 and Destiny 2 in 2017. Now, they also made the Deadpool game back in 2013. And Activision laid off 40 employees and placed them into new positions working on various games owned by Activision. A quick look at their wiki page shows that was Destiny and Call of Duty. Now, if you were to look at some of the enemies in Black Ops 7, you would see some eerily similar visuals to enemies from Destiny. Bright red health bars with designators on the side showing rank or status. Varieties of enemy style with offshoots like melee one snipers and so on. Even the robots move slowly and in the same cadence as the Destiny Vex. There are multiple VTOL warship fights, and those all feel very close to the Cabal dropships. And there was also a boss fight against a mobile shielded turret with spinning walls, which is just a Cyclops and a Hydra mixed together. The thing about Destiny is that while there's a lot to rag on with Destiny, the enemies are not one of those things. Destiny enemy design is quite good. They have different critical points, they act differently, there's different ways to deal with them, and fighting them has lots of uniqueness to it. In this game, it has the visuals and the style of Destiny enemies, but without any of the thought put into them. The answer is always the same. Empty 100 rounds into them until they die. Now, normally I would just consider this to be a bad way of using this methodology, but considering how much of the game is Gen AI and how Microsoft mandates it for all of its workplaces, I wonder if a large amount of High Moon Studios dev work on prior Destinies was absorbed into their learning model and churned out into this pile of shit. Not purely AI, of course, but a foundation to build upon. It's either that or just terrible ideas, and at this point it might be difficult to find out which. However, I feel like I've spent more time on it than they did, so let's move on. Now, the rest of the game is exactly what you'd think it would be. It's you tripping out, and then the entire game pointing to things that happened in prior Call of Duty games. You get the LA Highway President mission from Black Ops 2, you get Vorkuta from Black Ops 1, and let's not forget the numbers, Mason.
I clapped when I saw it.
Then you make your way to the bottom of the ocean to stop evil CEO lady from using the ganja gas to kill a bunch of people. You fight her mechs, which sucks, as you can imagine. mission, and you shockingly don't kill her, which is absolutely nuts for no reason. I would blast that bitch into smithereens. And then you surface back up from the bottom of the ocean, which doesn't kill you, but you'll enjoy the bends later, I'm certain. You leave the area with a tease for Warzone and other major endgame bits, and the story continues, and that's where the game comes to a close. Not after, though. The funniest thing I have seen all year. Were my teammates supposed to be in there? No, this is not real. This isn't real.
I've traced comms to a guild officer in the AO. Let's end his career.
I cannot stress how miserable of an experience playing this game was. This is the worst game I've played all year. This is not a hyperbole, and I've played some stinkers. When we talked about Microsoft earlier, there was a detail I left out. A few months ago, a report came out that Microsoft was mandating the use of AI in every aspect of its game development, at least in regards to Activision King, which is their mobile game developer. To quote, AI was being introduced by Microsoft as mandatory a while ago, says one source. The goal for last year, if I recall correctly, was having a 70 or 80% daily usage of AI on general tasks. And the goal for this year was to get up to 100%, so that every artist, designer, developer, even managers have to use it on a daily basis. Microsoft owns around a 27% stake in OpenAI. They have an intense desire to see it succeed. Its success, of course, is mainly related to being able to lay off workers and save money by replacing them with AI. Many such places have shown this to be a doomed venture, as the mistakes AI makes requires developers to come back to fix them, and they aren't coming back for the same salary they started with at all, because why should they? The thing about reviewing games like this is that there's bad, and then there's this. The worst campaign in COD history was Modern Warfare 3 2023, but that was bad for all the normal reasons, you know, human reasons. Rushed, bad enemy design, bad dialogue, poorly written story, V for Makarov, the usual stuff. When I played Battlefield 6's campaign earlier this year, it was also poor. It was genuinely a pretty bad campaign, but for similar reasons. I initially left Battlefield 6 thinking I might enjoy Black Ops 7 more, because Battlefield 6's campaign had all the same issues as Modern Warfare 3. It just had way better gunplay. But holy hell was I incredibly wrong. Playing this game was miserable, and talking about it just only a little less so. You'll find that most of this video is probably talking about the Microsoft stuff, because there's nothing to say. It's like critiquing art made by Midjourney. Like, what is there to do? Why would you even bother? It's not coherent. It's not fun. It isn't exciting or funny or anything. It's worse than bad. When you watch The Room, it's funny because Tommy Wiseau tried, and he was even able to spin it around and like kind of save himself a little bit. I'm like, aha, funny guys. He was able to fall on his sword in a fine way.
Hi, this is Tommy Wiseau, creator of The Room. Let me introduce you to the new Joker.
But he had an actual vision of something, and it failing so spectacularly was the enjoyment there. This is just a failure on every level, possibly even financially. I'm not sure the cost for making a Call of Duty now, but in Irvine, California, where Blizzard is at, nothing is cheap. Black Ops 7, I don't think is selling well. While Steam charts aren't the perfect metric, they do tell a story. And this game is maxing out at only 95,000 players. 95,000. Black Ops 6 last year peaked at 315,000 players. Triple the amount of people hopped on Steam for last year's release compared to this one. It could be fatigue, it could be marketing, and it could be competition. Arc Raiders and Battlefield 6 are crushing it this year, and they are taking up space not only in the market, but in wallets. And I, for one, welcome it. It never feels good to pray for a game's downfall. I don't think I've actually ever prayed for a game's downfall in my life. I never want something to not succeed. I want people to have fun with it, and I want the devs to feel good about what they made and for players to get their money's worth. But that isn't the case here. This game is the greatest anti-AI piece of media I have ever seen. It is a true vanguard of all the problems with it, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's the tipping point for the on-ramp, or I guess off-ramp, of the AI bubble popping. Part of me is hoping it's intentional, that this is some kind of act of sabotage, that the developers put time and effort into screwing the AI systems or worked with a sort of malicious compliance. Hell, even when the game ended, there were no credits. You have to search to find the people who made this game. And if that doesn't spell shame, I don't know what does. I'd say it's cope to think Microsoft will think twice about this, that such an abject failure creatively and commercially will allow them to realize this isn't working and completely reroute their idea to something more useful. But that feels like cope. Regardless, yes, if this game is failing commercially, then that's good. It is a good thing. It is good that this is a failure, because this needs to be a wake-up call, not just to Microsoft, but to the industry at large. Not only the forced use of AI damaging the video games, but the reliance on it will be a fool's errand. It's estimated the cost of the AI model will be like a few $1 trillion a year in a couple of years, and it's a bubble. And it's moronic to rely on the efforts of a system that will pop. The people that say, well, it's going to be the future, so we might as well accept it, are misinformed, if not actively seeking to gain from the speculative market that it is made from. Now, after I finished this campaign, I requested a refund. This would be around like the third time in my life I have ever asked for a Steam refund. I didn't even refund Modern Warfare 3, but I stated this. I'd like to request a refund. Choose refund reason. The game did not match the videos and screenshots. That's actually true. The game constantly utilized AI-generated options that were not present in the marketing for the game, as well as the videos and screenshots of the material. Submit request. This is why we outlawed abominable intelligence. In a few hours, my refund was granted, and I had played the campaign for about, it's like 5 hours that it lasted, so this was not under the automatic 2-hour situation. Now, I wasn't aware that Steam can be quite lenient on their refunds, so while apparently this wasn't that abnormal, I was still surprised to get it. So I decided to bang out a little post on the Blue Skies and the Twitters, and Blue Sky was, rather chill, it tends to be, but on Twitter, it was starting to do numbers, and it broke containment into the wider internet, which naturally found the ire of many an Activision defender, speaking heavily on the clear disclosure of AI on the Steam page and the usual bad faith arguments of comparing refunding a game with generative AI to be theft or something like that. Now, the irony is not lost on me there, but while Twitter has indeed become far worse in the past few years, this is a level of corporate bootlicking that I have not seen since the NFT days, and I don't consider it to be a coincidence. When someone was trying to get you in NFTs, you had to figure out what was their actual end goal. Now, it could be a Hanlon's razors situation. They could just be misinformed, stupid, or both. But much like with NFTs, many people have lots of money to be made in the speculative AI market, and the people at the head of that market gather quite the following. There is an incredibly short jump to be made that many of the horrid responses here come from people trying to get you to buy into something they are already invested in financially. For those of you who have been a viewer of mine for years now, you'll note that I'm far more argumentative in this video. I'll probably piss a lot of people off, and maybe 5 years ago, Bricky would have been far less contentions, keep the peace and all that, but I consider this game to be a genuine moral failing. You think the video game industry is bad now? This is what it looks like if these things are allowed to continue. If you know a person who has bought this game, I think it is a moral good to tell them to ask for a refund. I think it is a moral good to tell those around you with a Game Pass subscription to cancel that. I feel horrible for purchasing this for our yearly review that we normally do here, so I'm really happy that my refund was allowed. To put it bluntly, engaging in this product financially is a moral failing. It actively damages the future of video games, and that is why I have zero issues with pointing to these people and confidently saying they are making our industry worse. So yes, Black Ops 7 is the new worst COD campaign that has ever come out, and I am happy for its abject failure, despite the misery it caused me to play. It is a vanguard for the worst part of the games industry to become popular, and I hope that everything points to its destruction and a complete curve from the path we are currently heading. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for your time. Thank you for letting me rant and ramble. I know it was probably a lot for some of you because I'm not normally like this, but yeah, all that. Buy gamer subs, code Bricky. They're a lot cooler. Then they actually treat people nicely, and they actually like pay artists and stuff instead of stealing things. So yeah, code Bricky, 10% off. Buy it now.